Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Robert Weichelt with eXp for another episode of Weichelt Wednesday. Today is a great day. We've got my good buddy, longtime friend, and fellow EXPer, Brian Brady. Brian, how are you, buddy?
Man, I am doing great, Robert. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm super stoked. I can't wait to dive right into it. So before we get any further, who's Brian Brady?
Well, I'm almost 30 years now in financial services, whether it be from trading mortgage-backed securities to originating residential loans. I've brokered some real estate deals in California and in Florida. And over the last 6 months, I've made the full-time transition to originating loans for commercial real estate, which I'm doing here with the commercial side of EXP Commercial.
Got it. So you're in California and Florida. Tell me about that.
Well, so about 2 years ago, right before I joined EXP, after talking to you, I remember saying to you, we're transitioning to Florida, and we've been doing it over the last now it's been a little bit over a year and a half, almost 2 years, and we'll be here full time when my daughter graduates University of San Diego. We'll be here this summer. We'll be back in Florida. So I'm usually here 2 months, and then a month in California. Here for 2 months, a month in California.
The world travel.
And then after August, it'll be like 3 months, and then a couple of weeks in California.
Well, cool. So let's dive into it. Let's talk about your new venture going into the EXP.
Yeah, but I want to point something out. And just because we're talking to people, if you're someone like me and you're moving between states or you're licensed in multiple states, this is I don't even know if I told you this, but the reason I joined EXP back when I did was because it's one company and not franchises. And so we talk about capped commissions. Without naming names, there's another couple of companies a lot like ours where they have a split up to a level and then the commissions are capped. But they're a franchise model, which means you'd actually pay two caps in two different states. EXP is one big company. It's one big international company. So whether you close a deal in California or in my case here in Florida, and or if you get a referral fee from a transaction in Cabo San Lucas, because we have an office in Cabo San Lucas now, all of that goes towards your cap. So you're not getting charged twice. And that was the real advantage to me.
That's a big deal. That's a real big deal.
It is a big deal because I think in this market with things getting harder and harder, but people being mobile, that the real estate agent, whether they're residential or commercial, but the real estate agent who has, like, the most important thing they have is the trust. I mean, we talk about how real estate agents, the successful ones, act as fiduciaries rather than functionaries, meaning anybody can open a door and pull a Vanna White. Here's the living room, here's the door, you press hard, you're making 3 copies. But the real successful agents are fiduciaries to their clients. So if they're going to move from San Diego, let's say they're military and they're moving from San Diego to Jacksonville, or they're moving from San Diego to Seattle. If you're a real estate agent, if you're a good one, you're a fiduciary and they trust you. So you should be at the center of that transaction. For example, there have been 3 families I've helped who've relocated from California to Florida. And they've, kind of known that I know something about it. And so I was able to manage the transaction and actually share commissions with local agents in each place, local EXP agents. And that all went towards my cap. And gosh, with 70,000 agents, I had a transaction where we were worried about whether a client who was going to their home in Portugal was going to be able to close on their home in Los Angeles. And, one email to an EXP agent in Portugal, and I solved that problem. So that's the network is the real power to me.
It's certainly a powerful tool. And it's just, we're global, and it's just amazing. Like you mentioned, it's one company. So you're only paying that one cap, whether you're in Florida, Alabama, or any other state you're licensed in, you're paying one cap. That's huge.
It's very huge. And that cap translates to about $100,000 in gross commissions, which, is about $5 million in real estate or $25 million in referrals. Mm-hmm. You can tell I'm a numbers guy. But they, and so someone who's sitting there who's maybe thinking of joining EXP or trying to find out about our model. I mean, $25 million in referrals sounds like a lot of money, but it's really about 80 or 100. Like if you have a big database of people moving, like you wouldn't even have to show homes. Just the fact that you could procure and refer business to EXP agents, you can make a pretty good living.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. So you're really kind of focusing on the commercial, EXP commercial. You have your commercial lending division. Tell us a little bit about your commercial lending division.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. Like commercial lending is different from residential. Residential goes under the NMLS system and it's a little more regulated. Commercial, you'll see a lot of the big real estate firms like the Cushman and Wakefields, the Marcus Millichaps, the CBREs, the Matthews Real Estates. The top 10 commercial real estate firms have what they call a capital markets division, and the capital markets division is like an in-house lender, and it's an agent who actually focuses on placing debt. So if someone's going to buy a $6 million multifamily property, an apartment house, that you wouldn't go to Rocket Mortgage and get a loan there. It's not like that's a very public thing. So you'd go to a local bank, or you might go to someone who is what we call an intermediary, and they know how to place loan with the agencies. Like I know how to place loans with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, SBA if they're owner user. If it's or sometimes they're just community banks. So oftentimes these big commercial real estate firms will have an in-house, what they call a capital markets guy. And so when I was talking to the EXP commercial designated managing broker here in Florida, a young lady named Brittany Ruskowski, I said, I'm doing commercial lending and I'm going at it 100%. This was back in May. I said, like, I know we have some capabilities in-house, but wouldn't you like to have someone just dedicated to Florida and California agents and trying to help them? And she was like, yeah. And so she made it very easy for me. And it was a very easy math job for me because while I could do it on my own, you don't really need a license to do it. You just have to have a broker's license, a real estate broker's license. I could do it on my own. But to me, the EXP value proposition was so compelling because, it's an 80-20 split. There's a $20,000 cap on the commercial side, and our technology fee is $250 a month. And let me tell you why that's such a good deal. Our technology fee, I'm not even sure all that we get, but here's what I know we get. We get Reonomy, access to Reonomy, your own dedicated Reonomy account. Now, what Reonomy is it's a database pretty much of every commercial property in the country, and it gives you ownership data, it gives you loan data, when the loans are maturing. Sometimes it even gives you phone numbers or email addresses, and it's really kind of one of the premier commercial real estate programs. It usually costs about twice as much as our technology fee. That's just one thing we get. We also get a thing called Build Out CRM. Build Out is a program that's not only a customer relationship management program, but it also, on the commercial side, for a commercial real estate broker, it helps design offering memorandums and also puts together single property websites. So because of the technology that EXP has invested in and EXP Commercial has invested in, a commercial real estate broker can compete with the very same tools that, say, a Cushman and Wakefield broker would have. And as a capital markets guy, that Reonomy access is like the cornerstone of my business. Like every morning I wake up and look out about 5 months for loans that are coming due. And there's close to $500 million in loans coming due this year for the next 2 years too. There's $1.5 billion over the next 3 years. So there's plenty of money to be made. And all I do is I look for, I specialize on like $1 million to $10 million loans. And I look for loans that are maturing. And I spend a couple hours, 3 hours a day calling those people. I try to talk to 10. I usually end up talking to about 6 or 8. And they're all very receptive. Robert, like the fact that Reonomy piece is so compelling. And to those of you who are out there, if there's any commercial agents paying attention, the reason this matters is because of the $500 million coming due, if you're a commercial broker out there now, you know that this is going to be a difficult market. Well, only about half of them are going to actually be able to be refinanced. And the reason is because loan guidelines have tightened up. So what's going to happen to the other properties where the loan comes due? They have to be sold. And if they have to be sold, this is a great opportunity for an agent to partner with a capital markets person, because I'm making the calls every day. So I already identified this week 2 properties, which if I can't figure out a refinancing solution for them, they're probably going to have to sell them. And so I've able to help EXP commercial agents be in the right place at the right time because I'm already making the calls.
Wow, that's awesome. You've got a great gig going there, and you're dedicated to making those calls. And that's really what an agent needs to do, whether you're on residential or commercial, is make the calls, make the contacts, reach out, and drum up business. That's our job, is to prospect on a daily basis. So that's awesome, man. So what do we want to say to the agent that's maybe a residential agent that wants to get into commercial, or the commercial agent that's not yet with EXP? What do we want to say to those agents?
So let's take the first one, the residential agent who's thinking of going to commercial. And the first thing I'd say is, and also this is to the commercial agent who's thinking. The reason this is important, let's talk about the commercial agent second. The residential agent who's coming in, EXP Commercial every Thursday morning, I think it is, has an EXP Commercial explained call. Mm-hmm. So you can understand the value proposition. But more importantly, they also have about every 2 or 3 months, they have a 3-day course called Introduction to Commercial Real Estate. You should definitely walk through that. It's free. You should definitely go through that course. It's a 2.5-day course where they do a pretty good job of explaining commercial real estate. And then here's the big thing. Commercial real estate's a completely different animal than residential. It's in many facets. There's many different asset classes. Like, for example, I know self-storage brokers, guys who focus strictly on self-storage. They're 100% different than someone who does, say, retail leases. So you probably want to figure out what you want to work on. And then I think I'd probably want to find a mentor as well, or someone to help you with your first few deals. So you want to talk to the managing broker of the state in which you are. So like if you're in California, you want to talk to the managing broker of EXP Commercial there, which happens to be Jim Huang, the president of EXP Commercial. If you're in Florida, you want to talk to Brittany Mroskowski, who's just a really dynamic young lady, and at the tender age of 33 has already built out a development in South Tampa and brokered many deals, plus in the beginning did many leases and already has her CCIM. But you want to talk to her and find out whether you're suited for this business. And then, as she put it, you kind of have to burn your ships. You really have to go all in. I think one of the biggest mistakes is that people get into it and say, oh, that's okay, and I'll sell a house on the side, and I'll sell a house on the side. Well, I tried to do that in the beginning by helping a couple of clients, and it really consumed a lot of my time, and I really needed to be focused on, prospecting properties every day.
No, I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of staying in your lane, being the expert, and especially with commercial, it's a different animal. And it can consume. So I recommend that if you're going to go residential, go all in. If you're going to go commercial, go all in, like you just said. That's great. So, let's talk about that commercial broker. Look at some of our cap, 20,000. That's it. That's unheard of.
It's insane. It's insane. So let's say if you're a producing commercial broker, now let's say you're a producing commercial broker at one of these big shops where you're earning 50 to 60%. They're not paying you more than 60%. And if you're producing, say, $500,000 in gross commissions, and that's, by the way, that's not hard to do. After 4 or 5 years in the business, if you're really committed to it and working 8 or 10 hours a day, you're going to be doing $500,000 to $1 million in gross commissions. And so if you're there and you feel like you've peaked because your next step is either to build a team, which means you got to, add a whole bunch of people and level up, and you'll have another hurdle before you start clearing that money again, because you're still at that 40, you're still giving 40% of your income away. I'd invite you to do the math. I mean, someone who's generating $500,000 in commissions is probably making 250 to 300 at one of those big firms. Well, if you're established and you have a good book, that $500,000 less $25,000 is all you'll pay to EXP. So you'll immediately give yourself a $175,000 raise just to bring your book of business over. What are the negatives, right? I mean, we are a cloud-based company, so if you're used to going into an office every day, that's going to be a challenge. You'll make an extra $175,000, but you might want to go rent an office space too. Or if you're comfortable working in your spare bedroom like I am, that's what you do. Another important thing, because of our tech fee, just like EXP Residential, we have access to all the Regus centers around the country. Regus is the office suite centers, and I am a big user of that. If I'm in San Diego, I'm at one of the Regus centers in UTC, the UTC La Jolla area, at least 2 days a week. If I'm in Tampa, I'm either at the Regus Center by the Tampa airport or the Regus Center in downtown Tampa if I really want to kind of go bougie and have a nice meeting, or I'm in downtown St. Petersburg, which is probably about a 15-minute ride from my house.
Wow, lots of good stuff going on. So what I'd recommend to anybody paying attention to this, whether you're residential or commercial, it's really time to take a look at this, because this is a game changer. Brian's laid out the numbers. I mean, it's numbers work. And that's the reason why we get up in the morning, is to go out and help as many buyers and sellers as we can, whether it's residential or commercial. So I encourage anybody that's watching this, reach out to us so we can get you plugged in, introduce it to you, and introduce you to one of the calls that we do on Thursday. And it's an awesome opportunity. So Brian, any closing remarks we'd like to say to the folks watching?
Yeah, I mean, if you're interested in commercial real estate, you're going to hear a lot of doom and gloom over the next, they're all starting to say stay alive to 25, that it's going to be really hard in 2003 and 2004. When I first got into this business, it was in residential mortgages, and it was at a really bad time. It was in the, trying to think when it was, like 1997, I think it was. And I was really too stupid to know that it was bad. So I just kept doing deals. And so I think this is a great time if you're new and you want to get into this side of the business, come in, because you're probably too stupid to know that it's going to be bad, like I am right now. Like, I just kind of blindly go and keep making calls, and I find little deals out there. Now, I'm not going to close every one of them, but I know I'm just in the last month, by talking to other people, I'm doing more business. So you definitely want to, if you want to do it, it's a great time to get in if you're willing to work hard. And if you're an experienced commercial broker, it's going to get tougher. Your book of clients, and if you're not actively prospecting every day and you're just trying to keep in touch with your database, maybe it's time to give yourself a raise and to look at what we offer at EXP Commercial, because I think it's got a lot of value.
Amen to that. Well, you heard it here first. EXP Commercial it's the real deal. So Brian, I appreciate your time. Say hello to the family for me. And it's just absolute pleasure getting caught up. I could literally sit here and talk to you all day, but we'll do a second segment to this and following up. So Brian, thank you so much for your time, and we'll drop the information in the chat box. So this is Robert Weichelt and Brian Brady for EXP Commercial and Residential. Let's take it to the next level, guys.